Welcome, everyone. This is Nichel Anderson, your host for my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. Thank you so much for joining me today. This would be episode 66, being published on or released on May the 6th, 2019. And this particular episode, it is entitled, How to Create a Good Team. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much again for joining me today. And in this day, I am thankful to the prime creator of all things that I give thanks for this blessing and opportunity that I will use it for the greater good. So my survivors of the journey to my podcast that aims to inspire and motivate you to continue to have joy, peace of mind, and for your sustained success in your heart and in your deeds and mindset forward. So let's go ahead and get started. This particular topic today, as I'm focusing on my last month of my podcast season 2, is to focus on the primary objective of every company or every organization or every team. It could be a sports team. You want to have a good team, right? So my important point of my segment today is that to remember that to create a good team, your vision has to match your mission of action. The mission of action, I like to call that, relates to what you mean in a sense of what you say. So whatever you mean, you say it, but you also put it in action and you do the things that represents that. And the goodness of the team. Team is really never I, it's always we. Now within the team, there are always going to be levels of authority. Again, when we want to create the type of team that we want, which most of us want to have a good team that is productive, the vision has to be clear of the objective and the mission has to be put in action. Right? The mission of action. So, for example, a good team is by effort in doing and planning to implement the needed elements required for everyone in the team. So, for example, we can't really say, well, it's the leader all the time, and the leader has to do this and do this before I do it. Or sometimes you have people in the team don't even want to do that. They want to be lazy and let the leader do it, or maybe their co-worker to do it. No, a team is everybody is holding each other hands, right? And create this circle, which I like to say is the circle of life. So with that retrospect, you are doing what's required to accomplish the vision through the mission of action. And action is the same way as what you say, what you mean by doing what you say, reinforces the effort that is needed to be done, right? And most of that comes with effective communication and strong interpersonal skills, right? You just can't hold in the circle and you holding, the person to your right is part of the team and the other person to your left is a part of the team. You just can't just stand there like, well, this is all I'm going to do. I'm waiting on someone else to contribute. No, we have to find those that are willing to say, I'm not just going to hold your hand, my brother and my sister. I'm going to communicate effectively, meaning that you're going to reinforce the truth of what you can do, what you can't do, and what you're willing to do. That plays into the strong interpersonal skills that I mentioned. That is one of the requirements that reinforces the effort needed in order to accomplish the mission of action that delivers the vision of the good team. You see how all that wraps around? And that comes back to, I like to say again, the circle of life. In this case, the circle of workmanship. Okay, so let's move on to my wisdom point number 2. It is not just the leader of the team required to lead by example and distribute out good vibrations. On the contrary, it's everyone under rank of the leader that is required to put in the effort to bring the good vibrations and respect accordingly to those members of the team, from leadership, management to subordinates and backup, right? Or back around if we want to stay within that circle theme. So that wisdom, I wanted to kind of reinforce what I was saying underneath my important point segment there, is that the wisdom is to understand that even though you have a designated leader, because someone has to be the leader, because that's the person that defines the vision based on what everybody else need and what is the necessity that we're trying to produce and create together as a team. But also you have to put in those good vibrations. If you have a negative correlation, meaning that you're not willing to communicate Remember, those are one of the elements I call the effort, right? To present your ideas in a positive, not aggressive way, but a positive, because you seek the truth, you seek acknowledgement in order you to accomplish the goal. That's okay. But when it's self-serving or it's one way, or in the refusal to accept that the final decision was the person designated as the leader, we're not really working as a team. So we have to demonstrate, as I mentioned, those good vibrations, right? The respect of everybody in the team, including the leader. Okay, so let's move on to what I like to talk about is why. And basically, I feel that creating a good team influences other departments within the company or within the organization. And it helps to aspire as well towards the greatness that can be achieved. Okay, thus promoting a positivity and accountability to do the things right amongst the members of the team. Good teams takes a lot of effort with sometimes little resources. Now, why is that so? Well, I feel that is so because when we as humans get to the point of nurturing, right? Nurturing is the same thing as putting in the effort, looking after your fellow co-worker, and it returns back because we have put in the effort. And that really doesn't cost a lot, right? It's the common courtesy in the sense of you are invested in the vision of the team, of the company, and you're willing to put in the effort, the mission of action. So therefore, not only who you helping, either the colleague or the others, you are influencing other teams. So it is good when you see other teams or departments reaching their goals and they're very excited. It makes you think we could do it too. And you are really promoting a scene of positivity, of thinking in a way and behaving in a way that everybody's willing to do what is necessary, even most of the time more than expected, because it's not about the money, it's about how it makes you feel. That's why good teams is the way to go, right? Because we grow. That's a good one. And as I reinforce that, and we connect. We dedicate our hands, our minds, our energy to see the vision of the mission that is required to get it done. You see, so we all win. Now, who? Let's a segment that I like to talk about. Who are we really talking about overall? Basically, it's everyone. So it's the respect of the team. Here in the United States, we say together, everyone achieves more. That is true. Now, I would like to gather more on that or relay more to is that who we are talking about as the overall team, the purpose of a team, especially within a company, is about the brand, which is the entity, the company's vision identified within the marketplace. And it is the mission forward that customers can gravitate to and trust in. So even though they don't have much income, when they do get just a little bit more, the company brand would be the top of their list that they would invest in. That's very powerful and it's very significant because you got to think they could spend that money on someplace else. They can keep it, but they rather spend it on the brand that they trust and where they have good experiences with the employees. And the good employees comes from having a good team, which I like to kind of touch back to reiterate, and that comes from good communication, a good accountability, demonstrating responsibility to be responsible for not only your area, but a backup for someone else. It's not about, I'm going to outdo this coworker, I'm going to upstage the leader. No, I'm in it for this role. This is what I'm good at. This is what I want to manifest my best at, because we all will get, we all will see what we deserve within the team if we think or envision ourselves in a circle and you're holding your brother, your sister hand to the right and you're holding your brother, your sister hand to your left. In that retrospect, it's like you giving out. But if you think about it, you're going to receive from the person to your left, so you can give not only nurturing of you being a part of the team, but also nurturing someone else to the right. So the circle, I like to kind of touch on that, the circle of life, because everybody achieves more. As I mentioned, here in the States, when we break down the abbreviation for that, for team. Now, that's to talk about who again, and about together everyone achieves more is true. And for me to talk, when I mentioned about the brand of the company, which is the entity of the company's vision to the mission forward that customers prefer over the other. And And what company doesn't want that, right? So who wants to be at the end of a bad, non-productive, hostile, toxic team? It brings down everyone else and the company's brand, okay? And the morale of employees. So you want to aim for a good team, and you want to put in the effort that provides you as such, right? What exactly are we talking about? So what are the ways to create a good team? It starts with collective communication, as mentioned earlier, to what the members of the team identifies as to what a good team represents. And that's very critical. And several of my previous podcasts are always, when I'm talking up to management, I always tell them you have to have some type of feedback mechanism within the company to get a vibe of what is almost like polling, polling, that I'm talking about for my listeners not in the States. And they probably call it something different in their country, but it's where they take as we say, a pulse of how the public feels about this particular topic amongst the citizens, amongst Americans here, or the politician, how his likability is and so forth. So we'll poll it. You have to do the same thing in your company, okay, within your teams. Get more specific. And by doing that, you get to learn what's their really perception of what a team is. And I guarantee you one of it is definitely communication, sharing information, training. And by doing that, it starts with the collective communication, which is to me feedback, and then it goes through those other items I just mentioned, that it can be a positive outlook for everybody, okay, to what the team members identify as a good team, what they need to be a part of or not want to be a part of, right? It takes a lot of communication and responsibility to create some type of feedback mechanism, and people want to see results, okay? So you got to remember, it is the T of together that allows people to express themselves in a collective way to reach a balancing effect that serves all. So we all have to be willing to listen and to accept. Once we get that feedback, return, right? In the end, the majority to move on with the decision made. So what I mean by that is once the deciders, okay, management or whatever, take a look and make the decision, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. The rest of everybody else of the team have to decide. We will accept decision and move on. Now, sometimes you might just don't like the final decision of what leadership decides to make. That's perfectly fine. You have to make the decision of which way you want to go with that. But this is what you do to be still a part of the good team, is to be professional about it, be cordial, of course. Overall, just present it in a way that you're willing to accept. This is the decision. You just have another way of feeling how it should go. And right now, in your particular career, you feel that it's just not something that you want to go further by being still at the company. You feel that your path is leading you in another direction, but you leave on a very good note. And by doing that, not only you still sustain the root of a good team, which is good communication, and you also grow from that by taking accountability that, my role as a member of the team, and to communicate that how you feel about it, and you acknowledge everybody else's role, their authority, so forth, or their role as a subordinate, what have you. You accept all that by being accountable, acknowledging, and then taking responsibility of what you're going to do about it, right? Because if you're not 100% in, or at least comfortable that you can move forward and be professional, you can't really stay on a team and be peaceful, joyfulness about it without causing some friction. So it's almost like you either got to be all in, or at least all in to the point that you're willing to move forward, or if you're not, you have to take responsibility. Remember, I said earlier, it's accountability, responsibility, leading from communication, all comes from the effort to create a good team. Because you got to think about in life, on your journey, it's a season. So everybody's not going to be on the same path, same time, all the time. Seasons is just like it is. It changes. But when you make that transition, you want to make it right. You don't want to make it, as we say here, burning any bridges or making someone else feel not good about something that, it's just the way it is. So in that retrospect, that's basically what I'm talking about, right? So let's go on and move to, we're talking about strategy to succeed. So start outlining the top 4 things your coworkers require to feel they are part of a team that is nurturing, understanding, supportive, and encouraging. This can be from leadership. This could be from a regular team member that's a subordinate or what have you. It could be everybody needs to do it. Everybody works with different parts of the team more so than others, and you probably can get more information, the feedback. So therefore, when they are in front of the manager can ask them, what is your vibe or your feeling regarding the rest of the team? How do you think they feel? What are other people saying? That's a great way to get more information, because see, more information and data helps the leader to be able to make the right choices to create that positive, good energy that flows over to customers. Okay, so who are the motivators? Who are the stabilizers of support? The most knowledgeable person on the team? Does the leadership interact and communicate the message that soothes the concerns of the team or restricts creativity with no long-term goal in place? Basically, have the meetups or the one-on-ones or the time you're looking for feedback. Those are questions you should ask, either one-on-one or in a group. Open it up. You got to get that information. And now I'm talking to the direct management involved, but as well as the subordinates, when you can have that discussion one-on-one on lunch with you and your coworker, right? Your colleague. And then when you're ready, when it's time as a group to discuss it, you can plan to resolve any issues or any confusion or what have you, and create the timeline of resolution. This is a positive. I hope you're getting this vibe that I'm feeling just talking about a good team, how you can create a good team, because that's what I'm feeling right now at this moment, that it is possible. You could turn a toxic team into a good team. Now it's more work involved, more effort, but it can be done. It definitely has to start from the top, but it also has to be put in with a lot of effort from the bottom, because they have to change to the new rule for implementation. Okay, so basically that's the strategy to succeed, is to create an understanding and a format that you are asking about the team in the sense of what they think in the nurturing, understanding, supportive mechanism that equal the encouragement necessary, and asking those questions as I mentioned. Who are the stablers of the support system of the team? Who are the motivators? And when you start doing these things, take that information and definitely plan a team building social activity for a group to break down the walls or barriers and gain the trust amongst everyone in the team. Because in social gatherings, we tend to open up more, be more freer and happier to talk about obstacles of our feelings and goals, as well as any hidden teams that nourish us. So that's what you want to do. Now, your task to dusk to dawn is have regular meetups on plan of action forward that allows for good communication on everyone that's perceived the perception of the team vision of the company's mission forward. And it provides an opportunity to outline the roadblocks that prevents members feeling a part of the team or willing to share information that they will be appreciated. So communication and accountability is basically the responsibility in implementing the change requested for all members to create the good teams that you seek. Okay, so your motivational takeaway is that to create a good team starts from within, willing to share outward. So what I'm saying is, to create a good team starts within for the willingness to share outward. That's your motivational takeaway. Thank you so much for joining me today. Joining me for my podcast episode from my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey to Success, just to give you some information to not only stay in contact, but with the other things that I offer. I provide career consultation, offering the first 30 minutes are free. Thereafter, there is a fee access afterwards per hour and can be discussed on a case-by-case basis, depending on your need. So if it is an emergency and you need some consultation regarding your career or choices that you're about to make moving forward, in a sense, in your personal type objectives, then you can definitely contact me. The primary way to contact me is by email, which is info@nichelanderson.com. Now, I do have a toll-free number on my website. Now, that is actually only for webinars, when I'm doing like a free webinar and you're calling in. Once that number is through that medium, and it's only really for that, so it's not really connected to me directly. Now, I am working on that, but for right now it's not really, and when that changes, you would definitely get a notice of that to go forward. So just to recap, my primary way is info@nichelanderson.com. All right, so the other thing I want to share with you is that I also provide business courses and self-improvement courses. So that overall objective is to help you to create strategies that work for you, to get you motivated, to identify the ways to get your or keep your joy and your mental peace. So I do provide that on the basis of your objective to gain success, and as I like to say, sustain success. You can find information on my courses that I release on my official website, which is www.nichelanderson.com, and you can go there and you can look at the different courses that I am releasing that are available. These courses are self-paced. They will be identified if they're considered to be like live sessions on a regular basis, but for the most part they are self-paced. During that time, I do have live sessions that once you have signed up for the course, you will see that in the schedule of what days that I'm available live, that you can talk to me and we can go over the courses going forward, right, on those particular topics. So that information is basically on my website that you can go to, which is nichelanderson.com. Now, I want to do a special call out for listeners that I have seen in my stats that are following me, continue to follow me, which I am thankful for. Now, to get connected more, to stay connected, I'm asking you to consider to join my newsletter that I do send out. And to do that, you just have to submit, of course, your name and your email. I don't spam. You could always request to be taken off the list. I don't send thousands of emails because I don't like thousands of emails from a particular source. So I keep it in a way that's informative, of course, because obviously you like the content because you hear and you enjoy it and you're getting something from it, which pleases me. To expand that and to move forward and to get into other ways that I can expand what I'm trying to do is to form a newsletter, to get that set up in the sense that I'm communicating that I can send that out more quickly, actually, through a podcast or any type of thing or production that I'm doing, where a newsletter is more, in the sense, faster to get that contact and to send it out on blast, right? And more opportunity to send more content compared to like social media characters to be able to get that message out. So do consider that to join my newsletter by providing, and you can find that link at the end of each episode. I have that link to basically to sign up here for Nichel E-List Tips newsletter. And you could do that and you can see that and click, and it's a short form, online form. It is secured and you can complete that. All right. The other thing I want to talk about is basically to subscribe to this podcast. If you haven't, please go ahead. Of course, this is going through Podbean. I have 2 podcasts. This one, of course, you're listening to is Surviving Your Journey to Success. And you can subscribe. Of course, you should see the subscribe button here at the bottom of this episode or at the top, whichever device that you're using. Now, I'm also available on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on Google Play, on iTunes, and any other podcast directories for feed distribution. You can connect that way and subscribe. And if you like it, share it. Now, I am on social media. And so you do hear me a lot talk about Twitter. I'm mostly active on Twitter. I'm also active on Facebook. For the most part right now is Twitter. And I like the whole concept of keeping it short and sweet. In my closing, I want to say thank you again for joining me today. Here is my closing statement for you. Be you that strengthens and inspires your ability to be strong in your journey endeavor. It's a good thing towards your mental peace and joy. Always to your success.